Going to move on to the Carolina Panthers now, and this arguably is probably the most interesting story of the division because you got Bryce Young picked at number 1 in the draft after the aggressive move from 9 up to 1, which was done early March, and then for the bones of 6 weeks they had to make a decision whether it was him or CJ Stroud, and in the end it seems to be general consensus leading up to the draft for weeks it was always going to be Bryce Young. And Frank Reich has come in there now as the head coach. He's brought a lot of experienced coaches in there, and I was looking at the free agency signings, like really kind of key players, and we're talking about a rookie quarterback, but when you look what they brought in, Miles Sanders from the Eagles, who's just coming off a Super Bowl run and a really successful season. Hayden Hurst, tight end, who's at the Ravens, had a really good time at the Bengals. DJ Chark, wide receiver. Adam Thielen with all the experience at wide receiver. And I call him, whilst we're going to be scrutinising the quarterback very early on in the season, and rightly so, because he is the first round pick and the expectations will be so high. Maybe not the Trevor Lawrence numbers in terms of when he came in, but the way things have led with him going to the Panthers, and because of the trade up, there will be so much pressure on him. But they've done a lot of nice moves in free agency to really put players around him who can support him, and I suppose show the experience and acknowledge a young quarterback and the growing pains that come with that.
Yeah, and I really like the coaching staff. Frank Reich is a very, very good head coach. Things kind of fell off, obviously, with the Colts last year, but I don't think the owner helped that situation in any way, shape, or form. This is the question around, because Bryce Young is certainly the not your archetype for what you imagine when you talk about NFL quarterbacks, right? Generally, they're probably at least 4 or 5 inches taller than he's just about touching 5'10". The talk was he got 5'10" on his tippy toes, and he had stones in his pockets to get to the 200 pounds. We will see. He has certainly looked very small behind the line when you saw the rookie mini camp and OTAs, but that's the start of it. A very, very smart coaching staff on both sides of the ball, and you've got an interesting mix there of experience and youth. I think Frank Reich has done a really nice job on that. I mean, on the defensive side of the ball, you got Evero, who is widely considered one of the best young coordinators in the league, and beside him you've Dom Capers, who might be the only person to rival Dean Pease and Methuselah. Although Dom, at least in his photographs, still has a shiny black hair, which is quite impressive given he's been coaching in the league for 50 years. I think there is lots to like about what the Panthers have done, but they have an owner who wants to win. And so that will be the interesting piece in all of this. How quickly can Frank Reich mold Bryce Young, and can Bryce Young kind of prove the doubters wrong? I have no idea. I really, you look at it and you just think this is fascinating. This truly is one of the most intriguing storylines as we sit here in June. Certainly when I kind of look at the 2023 season, the Panthers are a team I'm really, really looking forward to seeing on the field, because I just don't know what to expect.
Connor, just to follow up on what Colin said there was a storyline leading up to the draft that David Tepper wanted Bryce Young, and CJ Stroud was actually the general consensus as the pick within the in terms of the coaching staff and all the scouts, and ultimately the owner got what he wanted. And again, obviously they're going to toe the party line and say various different things. And then you look at, and it hasn't really been spoken about. I know Colin Murray isn't at the same level in terms of height and the rest, but there was so much scrutiny around him when he was the first round pick. And it doesn't seem to have, whilst it's out there, and we talk about it in the public domain, especially with the rookie the rookie kind of camps over the past few weeks and stuff, but it doesn't seem to get the kind of scrutiny it deserves to what extent of what Colin Murray. Are we going to see a situation where come September, people are going to be going, oh, he really is small, behind the offensive line?
Well, I point out that linemen in college are full-grown humans as well. You know, they're not exactly small, and he hasn't done too badly there. Now, the counterpoint to that will be wide receivers aren't 5 yards open in the NFL either, so as they often are at Alabama. So that'll be interesting to watch. I have to say, obviously, from the purely selfish perspective, I will be actively rooting against the Panthers this season because I have to. Obviously, we want that number 1 pick next year that they traded up with the Bears to be a really good pick. And I just the idea that Bryce Young turns out to be a smash hit next year, and from an objective co-host point of view, obviously you would love to see that happen, and you'd love to see him smash it and be a great hit. But the idea that the Bears then would have passed on Bryce Young, much as we passed on Patrick Mahomes back in the day, to trade up for Mitch Trubisky would be just too much to take. That'd be difficult. But I mean, I think the Kyler Murray precedent is probably the closest we have. You could maybe stretch it to say Russell Wilson as well. Mobility plays a huge part in this. You know, an offensive scheming plays a huge part, and Frank Reich will have a lot to say in how he develops. You know, can you get him out of the pocket when you need to? You know, can you put him in positions where, you know, he can get good looks, and where you minimize the impact that his size is going to get? That's going to be important. Reich has that reputation as the quarterback whisperer. You know, you would hope that he can get the best out of whatever is available there, and you know, do his kind of any given Sunday go to the Buick routine, which has worked very well with a number of quarterbacks over the years. And you remember what he was able to get out of Carson Wentz. He got peak Wentz out of Wentz when that was possible to do. Yeah, I would agree with pretty much everything you guys have said. I think this will be really fun to watch. I think they've done a lot to try and ease the transition for him. DJ Moore obviously is a big loss though. At the same time, like that's an elite wide receiver they've lost there, or a receiver I hope is an elite wide receiver considering where he's gone. But they've compensated pretty well for that. I think they've put him in about as good a position as you can hope to be for his first year in the league. But for a number 1 pick, it's incredible how low the expectations actually are, and how many question marks there are. Guy who goes and has been through the experience that he's been through in Alabama, he's going to be fired up, ready to prove everybody wrong. And, you know, frankly, aside from the impact that will have on my fandom, I hope he does that.
Failed to mention the 2nd round pick in Jonathan Mingo, another wide receiver. Again, another player with a lot of talent that people are expecting a lot of. And Connor reminded me when I was hoping for the Bears to lose every game, it's because we had their 1st round pick a couple of years ago. Connor, you touched